as descriptions of capitalism go, it's surely one of the best ever written, poetic, urgent, and as much to do with metaphysics as economics. According to the Communist Manifesto, constant revolutionizing of production, uninterrupted disturbance of all social conditions, everlasting uncertainty and agitation distinguish the bourgeois epoch from all earlier ones. All fixed, fast-frozen relations, with their train of ancient and venerable prejudices and opinions, are swept away, all new-formed ones become antiquated before they can ossify. And then the kicker, all that is solid melts into air. Whatever their shortcomings as revolutionaries and feudologists, Marx and Engels' vision of ceaselessly changing economies and societies seems just as pertinent now as it did 169 years ago, with one particularly surreal caveat. Most traditional conceptions of capitalism have been founded in some notion of material stuff, physical property, premises, machinery, goods. But the companies at the forefront of the 21st century economy have a very different way of operating, as evidenced by one of the year's most talked about books. It has a title that, somewhere in the socialist hereafter, must have been greeted with mirth by the ghosts of Carl and Fred. Written by the economist Jonathan Haskell and the innovation researcher Stian Westlake, Capitalism Without Capital may sound like a riddle but actually makes perfect sense. Airbnb has revolutionized the market in accommodation but owns no property. Chinese online giant Alibaba is reckoned to be the world's biggest retailer but holds no stock. Neither does that byword for modern shopping, eBay. Meanwhile, Uber has arrived to upturn personal transport but owns no cars. Such are the strange ways of what is becoming known as platform capitalism, a model which took a shift that had been underway since the 1970s to its logical conclusion. Cutting-edge capitalism is increasingly weightless. What makes the difference between winners and losers is not physical things, but such quicksilver commodities as ideas, knowledge, research, software, brands, networks, and relationships. Haskell and Westlake center their story on a shift in investment, away from tangible assets to these intangible items. In the United States, the share of GDP devoted to the latter is reckoned to have overtaken the former in the mid-1990s. In the UK, the watershed was reached towards the end of that decade. In other countries, Italy and Spain, for instance, investing in old-fashioned kit and plant still takes precedence. But in all the statistics there is a clear implication, that as we head into the future, intangibles will rule. This cuts across many of the usual laws and expectations of economics. Physical assets, in any crude understanding, can be bought and sold. But intangibles are much more difficult entities.